Bring Bill King on from Nashville Sports Radio, the king of college football talk on this Wednesday. Bill, how you doing today? What's new?
Hey, Phil. How you guys?
Doing great, man. So, you know what is new? Going to be a new offensive line coach at Ole Miss. I saw earlier today Lane Kiffin cut his offensive line coach loose after the spring game, and he said this was a football decision. This was apparently disagreements about things going on there on the offensive line. And here we were a couple of days after Arkansas's spring game, and we were taken aback by Mike Woods transferring, and now here it is a couple of days after Ole Miss's spring game, and they're looking for a new offensive line coach.
Little odd there, yeah, because Ole Miss's offense was really good, and they ran the ball well. They threw it. Matt Corral had a very good year. And the offensive line played well, so it had to be a personality conflict. I've talked to a few people, and that's the only conclusion that people can come up with, is they just weren't, as you mentioned, they were not seeing eye to eye.
I've never met Lane Kiffin. I'm entertained by him on social media. I think, the way that his life has played out publicly in some embarrassing ways might have, I don't know if it's humbled him, but I think it's changed him some from the sources you have and everything. Can he be a difficult guy to work with?
Don't think so. Not that I've heard. You mentioned something. Lane Kiffin's got this bratty type persona that people see. I don't think that's the case anymore. Now, as you mentioned, he's still going to have fun on Twitter and still going to, have some jokes and some things that he pokes people about, but it's all in good fun. Now, when he took the Tennessee job in 2009, he was a brat. And he moved to Knoxville with his gorgeous wife, Layla, and I think they had a couple of kids at the time. They got a divorce shortly thereafter. And he's known as let me put it this way, the ladies like him. And that has followed him around, and obviously getting fired on the tarmac somewhat publicly at Southern Cal on the way back from a trip to Arizona wasn't all that flattering. But I think he's straightened up and matured a lot. I really do.
Yeah. Well, they certainly seem to like him after 1 year in Oxford, that's for sure. And, of course, they're all competing against Nick Saban. I saw he was on Feinbaum yesterday.
True.
I want to play this bite for you, Bill. This is kind of a change my mind. So this is about a 90-second clip where you can almost see the gears in Saban's head working while he's trying to figure out reasons to be against the college football playoff expansion. And then I've got to change my mind for you. So let's listen to this first.
Okay.
Well, I think the playoff, as I said many years ago when we first had just two teams in the playoff and we expanded to four, that the more playoffs we have, the less significant bowl games are going to be. So it's really not for me, and I don't think I'm even capable of judging how significant the positive self-gratification so many players get, so many programs get, so many coaches get for being able to go to a bowl game. And now everything is shifted to the four teams in the playoffs, and the bowls seem to be pretty insignificant. So I think if we expand the playoffs, you're going to see a continuation of that trend where the bowl games become less and less significant. And maybe these two things can't coexist. But if they're going to coexist, maybe we should try to, leave them pretty much the same.
All right, I'll cut it off there. And then he keeps on going, talking about, this we kind of have a playoff game with the SEC championship game already. And you know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like Darth Vader trying to tell you what reasons why the galaxy doesn't need to change. Nick Saban's team has played in one bowl game since the playoff was invented. His team made it to a playoff after not even playing in an SEC championship game. So I don't think, to me, his points don't necessarily hold water. Why would he ever want anything to change in the playoff?
Well, I mean, they're obviously the surest lock every year to get to the playoff, any average year. But if they expand, and one of the ideas floated today by The Athletic that they say is gaining steam is a 12-team model. I was thinking they'd probably go to 8 next. Apparently there is some push when they expand, I'd just go all the way and triple it to 12, which you'd have league champions, 8 leagues, and then you'd have 4 of the at large, and the top 4 would get a bye. And I don't need to go into all that. He's going to get in no matter what.
Yeah.
Now, if they expand it, he doesn't even need – heck, he didn't need to win the league a couple of years ago when it was only 4. So if he doesn't get to the SEC championship game, to me that's an advantage. Urban Meyer said years ago, and I wish I had the clip, that whoever gets into these playoffs and starts playing a bunch of games, their roster could get beat down. If you play in a league championship game, that's 13. And then how many, if you had a 12-team model, you get a bye. What is that? Is that 16, 17 games? That's a whole lot for a college roster.
It is. It is, but it's starting to feel inevitable to me that there is going to be an expansion.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you something. Here's the way I'm presenting this to the audience. It is not debatable whether they're going to expand. This is 100% going to happen. The only question is when, and I think it could be as early as 23, which is prior to the end of the contract, and how many. That's the only 2 questions we have right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the road we're going down. Let me get another change my mind for you here, Bill. Kyle Pitts is a sure thing in the NFL. I think he is. Change my mind.
Oh, I can't because I think he is a matchup nightmare. Any league, some other league on another planet. He is 6'6", whatever they list him, 245, and he plays like he's Devontae Smith, 5'10", 166, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a matchup if you're a linebacker. He's a matchup if you're a safety, if you're a corner. Any way you want to match up, you can't with him. And he stays healthy. I think he's a perennial superstar.
Absolutely, and it's always.
Yeah, I love to do your show right and disagree with you, but I couldn't there.
Well, I kind of expected you wouldn't really try because you watched that as closely as anybody else, and I think you were
right.
It was pretty obvious watching that. So you've been following Trevor Lawrence since his days at Cartersville High School. I know when I started doing the show with Ty, that was. Gosh, I think that was his freshman year, and he was telling me you and he would always talk about Trevor Lawrence, and now look what's happened. He's ascending. He's going to be the number 1 pick overall. Do you think – now, he seems like a sure thing. So much of it is the team you end up going to. But what are your feelings about Lawrence as an NFL quarterback and specifically in Jacksonville?
I mean, I'd be shocked if he's some kind of disappointment. I would. Now, we've seen bunches of that. So I'm always careful, but I don't know of a characteristic that he doesn't have to excel and make Pro Bowls and all that. He's 6'6". He's got a very good arm. He's very athletic. Not that they're going to call plays to have him run around out there a bunch, but if he needs to, he can. He's very athletic. Long stride. He's incredibly intelligent. I was hearing about him before his 9th grade year. 6th or 7th grade. And I don't remember the year, but he's from East Tennessee. He's from the Kingsport area, about an hour outside of Knoxville. And then the family moved to Cartersville somewhere in there when he was 10, 11, 12. But anyways, his legend has been out there forever. And by the way, you might as well get used to it. It's already started. It started a year ago. The next, and I don't know if he's Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he is. But the next big name is Arch Manning. And everybody's talking about him.
Well, is he choosing? I know, Ole Miss probably wants him. LSU wants him. Everybody wants him. Where's he looking?
They have done. Now think about this. There's not a bigger football name,
right,
in this universe than Manning. Family football name, right? And there's going to be a steady stream of quarterbacks into the future, probably never ending. And Archie, the granddad, famous superstar football player, and that whole family, including Dad and everybody, they have done a very good job of protecting him. Now, the names you hear, Ole Miss, obviously. You hear Duke. Now, he's not going to Duke, but you got to remember that family is best buddies with David Cutcliffe. He's going to be on the list just out of a favor. Clemson, you hear. Georgia, you hear. LSU, you hear. Texas, because of Sark, you hear. I think anybody that wants to be on the list, I really do think Lane Kiffin, if there's nothing negative happening at Ole Miss, if everybody's happy and that offense is moving, I think Lane Kiffin will have a pretty decent shot here.
Wonder if they would open up the number 18 for him there. You think? You think they?
Wow.
I mean, the speed limit on campus is 18 at Ole Miss for a reason.
Right.
If they get another Manning there, you think they'd let him wear 18?
I don't know if you've seen much of the footage, but when Archie played, he was a phenomenal athlete. Not just good, phenomenal. He was a superstar on the baseball team. Could have played Major League Baseball. He's a shortstop. And we're talking, early 70s, whenever it was. He was 6'3", about 220. I mean, I'm talking about a super, again, played shortstop all the way up through Ole Miss.
In NFL history. Number 5 is Terry Bradshaw. 4 is Chuck Bednarik. Bruce Smith, number 3. Elway, number 2. Peyton Manning, the best top overall pick in NFL history. I guess that's tough to argue with the numbers that Manning put up, and the 2 Super Bowl championships, but that's quite a legacy to try to live up to if you're Arch.
That's why they're very protective. You're not going to see many interviews with him. And you know what? I agree with that. I mean, you cannot. You imagine the media attention? Can't have him on social media either. You keep him off that, too. Just let him. And think about this now. The Manning family has tons of money, right? But name and likeness? I mean, is the Manning name going to be hard to sell?
I mean, that's going to print Benjamins pretty quickly, I think.
Easily.
Yes. Bill, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.